Three more baseball plays for today's show, as well as a WNBA play out west. Let's get it going with the Tuesday edition of Locked On Bets.
This is Locked On Bets, the daily betting show that means business from the Locked On Podcast Network. Hosted by Lee Sterling and Kevin Rogers, they're dropping fearless picks with an inside edge to put money in your pocket. If there's action, they've got the lock. This is where smart bets start. It's Locked On Bets.
Welcome to the Tuesday edition of Locked On Bets. Kevin Rogers and Jack Bond. And once again, for Lee Sterling, who was on vacation. And looking forward to today's show. Went 2-2 on our picks last night. We'll review those in just a little bit. But three baseball plays from Jack. I have a WNBA play later. So a lot to get to. And Jack, let's get things going with our MLB lock of the day.
Open it. Lee has the key to the lock of the day.
Everything of Braves Twins, you think of the Metrodome and Kirby Puckett hitting a big home run in the 1991 World Series. And fast forward to 2026, the Twins get four early on the Braves to beat them last night to bounce back from their sweep at the hands of the Phillies. So now game two of their series tonight at Target Field. And Jack, what do you like with the Braves and the Twins?
Yeah, a little bit of a rain delay, too, I think kind of got Atlanta off on the wrong foot last night. I would expect things to sort of course correct tonight. You know, Zebby Matthews, Minnesota's starter, and the rest of the bottom of this Twins rotation might have just been the death of them over the weekend. They are still only a half game out of the wild card, but they're 5-10 in August. Matthews himself is just 2-2 with a 7.50 ERA in the second half so far. He's actually registered a walk in every other inning. He's got 12 walks in 24 innings in that span and a whip of over 1.7. So, not only is the bullpen bad, the starting pitching really isn't reliable. And now the bullpen has been taxed. I mean, Gomez, Hoffman, Adams, Taylor Rogers all pitched 10-plus innings last night. So, yes, they got the win. Did they set themselves up well for the rest of this series? I'm not so sure. Now, on the other side of things, Tyler Mahle has turned things around. He was one of my favorite pitchers to fade in all of baseball, but since he was acquired by Atlanta at the deadline, he's got two starts and he's got an 0.75 ERA. He's just got one run allowed so far, and they really messed with his pitch mix. His cutter was one of the worst pitches in baseball this season. Well, they've cut it down 16% in terms of usage so far, and they've replaced it with his splitter, and he's getting strikeouts. He's really managed so far the Yankees and the Mets, the two New York's lineups in his two starts so far. His one pitch was his one run allowed was a home run allowed to Luis Torrens for the Mets last week. So still got 16 strikeouts in 12 innings. His poise on the mound has looked a lot better. He seems a lot more comfortable with his pitch mix as well. I do think this series course corrects tonight, and then you've got a rubber match on Wednesday. Give me the Atlanta Braves money line, -122 at the Minnesota Twins, level 2 lock.
And the Braves, who got off to a fantastic start and kind of stumbled a bit, and the NL East race got interesting. Now kind of a little more breathing room there atop the division in spite of their loss last night. So we'll see the Braves rebound tonight. Went 2-2 on our selections last night, Jack, and the winner in baseball, that game was on ESPN, Tigers and Pirates over, and you nailed that one. And the Tigers got to Carmen Mlodzinski early. Pirates got some offense later, but you had a big middle of the game there, and the over didn't have to sweat it.
Yeah, it felt like an old school baseball game that lasted 3.5 hours. I think we had an 87 pitch fifth inning where Fromber struggled in the bottom half of the inning, but Mlodzinski and the rest of this Pirates staff just can't throw strikes right now. And when they do, it's middle of the zone. They're allowing home runs all across the board.
And also we're waiting for Paul Skeens to return to the rotation. He's had his struggles. So over hit last night in Pittsburgh. Paige Beckers had a slow first half for the Dallas Wings. They lost that game at Golden State, but she finished with 21 points, had a big second half. So we hit the over on the 18.5-point prop there. Unfortunately, the losers came up close. I mean, the Orioles were that close to getting a 4-game sweep of the Rays. Tampa Bay rallied late and won that one to avoid the sweep. And Lawrence Butler of the A's, he had just a single, finished short of over 1.5 bases. So did come close on those two, but still a pretty good night, even at 2-2.
Yeah, really, both of them were in a great position to succeed. The Orioles were winning late in the game. A guy who has really been a stalwart in their relief group, Yennier Cano, came up and didn't record an out. The Rays recorded 3 straight runs in that bottom half of the 7th or 8th inning, and the Orioles had their chance for the 4-game sweep, just couldn't come through. Lawrence Butler also right in the right position. They moved him up to 4th in the lineup. He had a couple of balls hit over 95 miles an hour, one of which was snared, sort of snow coned by the shortstop, and they gave him the single on it instead of the error. And then the very next at bat, he hit a scorching line drive, but it was just right at the second baseman. So, you'll take 2-2 on a night like that. You feel like you could have gone 3-1, but that's the sports betting world we live in, and you're inches away from a sweep. You end up 2-2. We'll be back today, and we got a couple more for you guys, a couple more winners. Feel good about these.
Yeah, and look, you handicap the game well, it doesn't work out, that's fine, as opposed to being like, oh, I was just way off on that one. So still 2 more baseball picks to get to. WNBA, 4 games tonight, and a pretty important game out in Las Vegas. We're going to get now to our wrong team favorite.
What the fuck? WTF.
So it was anything but a dream for Atlanta on Sunday against Indiana, up 10 in the 4th. They blow it, and Angel Reese had that layup she missed at the buzzer that would have given the Dream a walk-off win over the Fever. Instead, Indiana wins in overtime, and now Atlanta has to travel out to Las Vegas to take on the Aces, who they've lost to twice already this season. Also, Las Vegas coming off a home loss to Minnesota, so both teams off home defeats. But we're going to take the Atlanta Dream tonight. They're +4 against Las Vegas. Couple notes here. First off, Jack, how about this? First time in 26 games the Atlanta Dream are listed as an underdog. So 25 straight games they were a favorite, and now they're getting points against this Las Vegas team who ran them out at home just a few weeks ago. And the Dream, one thing they need is they got to beat some teams that are in playoff contention. A lot of their wins recently have come against lower tier teams in the league. This is a very big game for them against the defending champs. Meanwhile, on the Las Vegas side, they've clinched a playoff berth already. Atlanta will eventually be in the playoffs also. But Vegas has not shot the ball well, around 47% or lower in the last 6 games since they torched Atlanta back in early August. I think the Dream will be up for this game tonight after the tough loss in overtime to Indiana on Sunday. So let's back the Atlanta Dream +4 against the Las Vegas Aces as our WNBA wrong team favorite.
All right, I like it. I'm looking through previous matchups between these two teams, and it seems like outside of that last matchup, they've kept it close at the very least, if not one outright. So got to get ready for the playoffs, keep things close in the regular season too.
Yeah, let's see. And let's see if Angel Reese bounces back after she missed that layup on the putback at the buzzer the other day, and a very big game out there, 1 of 4 games in the WNBA tonight. Coming up, we will get back to baseball, big interleague matchup between the Mariners and the former Seattle Pilots, the Milwaukee Brewers. So that one coming up tonight. Brewers, let's see if they can capitalize off of their road series win over the Dodgers. Also, another game inside the National League we'll get to. So a lot still to get to here on this Tuesday edition of Locked On Bets. Locked On Bets is brought to you by FanDuel. Baseball fans, if you think you know who's hitting a homer today, FanDuel is giving you a free chance to call your shot with daily dingers. It's easy to play. Just make a free pick for who you think will hit a home run in their game. If you're right, you'll receive a profit boost on your to use on your next bet for a chance at extra winnings. Best of all, you can make a free pick every day throughout the MLB season. Daily Dingers is another fun way to stay engaged with every day's games, whether you're following your favorite team or keeping an eye on matchups across the league. Every game has someone capable of going deep. Now you get your chance to make your prediction before first pitch, and we like to give you some of the names every day you could check out on FanDuel Daily Dingers. Number 1, Shohei Ohtani of the Dodgers. He went deep a couple times last night in their win over the Rockies. He's on that list. Also, Mike Trout of the Angels, Yordan Alvarez of the Astros, kind of the same names that we'd like to see, guys that can go deep. Corbin Carroll of the Arizona Diamondbacks, also Wilson Contreras of the Boston Red Sox. Those teams continue their series at Fenway Park. Fernando Tatis Jr. of the Padres, Bobby Witt Jr. of the Royals, Ronald Acuna Jr. of the Braves. All the juniors out tonight. Cal Raleigh of the Mariners as well. So a lot of choices you have for daily dingers. Also, a couple other hitters I didn't mention, but check it out there on the FanDuel app or on FanDuel's website. So are you ready to play your game today? Join all the action at FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com to play daily dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer. Play ball and swing for the fences on FanDuel, an official partner of the MLB. We continue the Tuesday edition of Locked On Bets. Kevin Rogers and Jack Bond in for Lee Sterling. And we have a couple more baseball plays to get to. And now let's go to some interleague action in Milwaukee as the Mariners taking on the Brewers.
Oh, boy. Last one out, turn off the lights. This one's a blowout.
Sorry to do the introduction. A blowout special. All right, now let's get to it. Seattle and Milwaukee tonight. The Mariners off a nice win over the Astros. Brian Wu finally won on the road on Sunday night on national TV. But now Seattle taking on Milwaukee, and we'll see how the Brewers respond. Big series win over the Dodgers. Will they have a letdown tonight, Jack?
Advantages. You do get some situational advantages in Major League Baseball with travel situations and teams coming off of sort of national broadcast games. Seattle played Sunday Night Baseball in a huge divisional series, frankly, with their season on the line in Houston over the weekend. They've played well against the AL West. They're 20-13 against the AL West, but they're just 39-43 against everyone else. So when you come off of a game like that, a series like that, where not only were your wins massive, but your only loss against Houston was a walk-off home run to Christian Walker, there is a bit of an emotional letdown when you travel from Texas all the way up to Wisconsin. You're playing an interleague game, you got a series against a team you don't know much about. And Milwaukee, yes, they did just come off of the big series win at LA, but frankly, they need to keep pace in the NL Central, and they both had a day off before this. Now, with the lineups head-to-head and the bullpens head-to-head, those are really the two things that are affected most by a day off. I'm going to favor Milwaukee in both of them. This team has Trevor McGill and Abner Uribe and a DL Hall and a bullpen group that has really been locked down, especially at home this year. Now, Bryce Miller coming into this one, he's had some injury issues this year. He's finally started to settle into the rotation. But coming into this one, 0-2 with a 6.65 ERA, including 5 home runs, 6 walks, and just 13 strikeouts in his last 22 innings of work. This guy, he's a strikeout machine when he's on. When he's off, he's giving up home runs, and he's not striking guys out. And he does lose control of the plate just a little bit. So I'm going to take Milwaukee here. There's a little bit of juice, minus 145 to minus 150. But I think Milwaukee money line at home against the Seattle Mariners, I see this being a 5-2, 6-2 final score. So give me the blowout special on the Milwaukee Brewers tonight.
Yeah, Bryce Miller, we talked about this before the show, Jack, that he was really good when he came off the IL, and he just hasn't been able to figure it out over the past month and a half or so, even maybe longer than that. And we'll see. Seattle look, they're in this group of teams that we discussed yesterday, these below 500 teams going for the third wild card spot. And Seattle, again, on the doorstep of the World Series last year, that if they could just get a run together, it feels like Seattle is one team that just can't sustain that 5 or 6 game winning streak to get themselves back in it.
Well, and if they if they can come in here and salvage a series at Milwaukee, maybe you start to believe a little bit. For me, the issue is, and especially in the bottom of this rotation, the offense really leaves these pitchers no margin for error. If a Bryce Miller gives up a 2 or 3 run home run in a game, you almost feel like you automatically have to take the other side because you just don't think Seattle can string together some hits and runs. Julio Rodriguez, Josh Naylor, a lot of these guys are second half players, but when 1 out of 9 guys or 2 out of 9 guys is carrying the weight offensively, a guy like Bryce Miller can't give up 5 home runs in 22 innings of work, and he can't give up 1 or 2 walks per start. So I just don't have much faith in him right now. If they can cling on to whatever life they have left, good for them. But for now, I'll be reminiscing on the Seattle Pilots logo because you had me curious about it during the break. I looked it up, one of the best logos in baseball history.
Yep, the blue and gold. They transferred over to Milwaukee when they moved over a long time ago. One more note before we move to the next game is that the other problem too, when Cal Raleigh is not hitting, you have no shot. And I know he was injured earlier in the year, and maybe that affected him. But what he did last year helped Seattle get to the ALCS and get to Game 7. And this year, if he's not hitting, then the lineup, it seems pretty empty. And then if everyone else can't contribute, then the pitchers have too much pressure on them. So we'll see how that one turns out tonight. Now we go to the National League, and you laugh at them. They still win. The New York Mets. They've had a terrible season, but they played better over the past few weeks. Can they keep it up? They beat the Padres last night. Game 2 of their series tonight at Citi Field. Time now for our wrong team favorite.
What the fuck? WTF.
It's been a mess for the Mets so far this year, but they swept the Guardians. They took a series at Pittsburgh. They did lose 2 of 3 against Atlanta. They swept Washington. They won last night against San Diego. Somehow the Mets are now playing better. It means nothing, but at least they have a little bit of momentum. And they're playing a San Diego team that's been playing very well. They knocked them off last night, a low-scoring game. Can the Mets beat the Padres again in New York tonight, Jack?
I think they can. You notice if you go through the Mets game log recently, their wins have been low-scoring. Their offense hasn't been great. Obviously, Juan Soto's been hurt, but the young rotation, including Zach Thornton, tonight's starter, but along with him, Nolan McLean, Christian Scott, a couple of these other guys, they've really provided some glimmer of hope moving forward for the Mets. It is so Mets for them to just get hot once they're 10, 15 games out of the playoff race. But either way, they've got something to look forward to. He's got a 2.63 ERA at home this year, and really all of his runs have come in 1 or 2 blow-up starts. So I've got faith in him. They tax the bullpen a little bit, but you've got a guy like Kodai Senga in that bullpen who's acting as a closer right now. So if he goes 10 to 15 pitches last night, he can go 10 to 15 pitches tonight. He's used to throwing 60 to 90 pitches in any given appearance, when he was in the starting rotation. And if they have another injury, he could jump back into the starting rotation. But for now, he can be a 15-pitch closer. On the other end, Robbie Ray was a guy that I thought a serious contender could pick up, and he'd be a fantastic 4th or 5th starter in the rotation coming over from the Giants. But he's joined the Padres. They're still in the fight for the wild card, and he just hasn't been great. He's got a 6 ERA in 2 starts so far, and that's coming at pitcher-friendly Petco Park in San Diego. And it came against a Houston offense that's hit or miss and a Milwaukee offense that can really dink and dunk you to death. Well, this Mets offense, that's really all they are right now is dink and dunk. They don't have a ton of power in their game outside of Francisco Lindor and maybe something from Bo Bichette, but Lindor has been hot. The rest, really, the depth in this lineup has been really impressive. Carson Benj and a couple of other guys have carried some weight. So I'm going to keep betting this Mets team, especially when they're a home underdog to a team like the Padres that, just like Bryce Miller, who we talked about earlier, hasn't been consistent this year. Plus 105, I'll take the Mets at home as a slight home underdog. The wrong team is favored.
It's funny how you mentioned that the Mets, this is what they do, is the whole season's terrible. They underachieve. And then now when these games don't mean anything, now they play well. So we'll see if they can knock off San Diego again tonight at home. And we're now in the back half of August, Jack, with NFL preseason continuing this week, week 2, and also Major League Baseball, UFC. So much going on with Paramount Sports. And, oh, by the way, college football also getting started pretty soon.
Yeah, college football getting started not this coming weekend, but next weekend. NFL preseason continues to roll along. We've got hockey training camp starting up in about a little under a month, So you'll want to keep an eye out for those packages. And then, of course, if you want to get any early bird specials for the NFL and college football, just visit the website, ParamountSports.com, or give us a call at the office, 800-400-9741.
And don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Locked On Bets, as well as the podcast you could find on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Type in Locked On Bets, and you'll be all set. Leave us a comment, leave us a like, and we really appreciate your support day in and day out. For Jack Bond, I am Kevin Rogers. Thank you so much for tuning in to this edition of Locked On Bets right here on the Locked On Podcast Network.